Good evening and welcome to the Pro-Am Formula Racing. We are here for the Division Sprint Championship. Round 11 takes us to Singapore. 18 minutes of qualifying followed by a 15 lap. Determine who will come out on top in this one. Could it be Vengeance? Well, the answer to that question is no, because he is not around today, unfortunately, which is a shame. So that's another race he will be missing. But he's got a healthier lead at the top of the championship anyway. So this is an opportunity for Fletch and Kilmore to get themselves back into championship contention. Here we are then for Singapore, just waiting for some cars to make their way out onto the racetrack. Just looking to see who's filled in for who. And Seffi's been called in the Haas. And Fudge, who competes for the first time this season, he's been called in the Williams. There's Hick as well. He's the first one out on the circuit. The Singapore circuit is 5 kilometres long. There are 23 corners. Anti-clockwise as well, as we watch Hick make his way through. Turn 7. If you have joined us on the stream, we do welcome you. Do make sure you get involved in the live chat. And don't forget to like and subscribe as well. So most of the cars are on circuit now. You can see the 2 McLarens heading out. The only ones stuck in the pits are Seffi, Raz, Vintage and King. Hick is coming round to the pit straight here to begin his first time lap. Rearing open on Hick's car. We head towards turn 7. This is 26.9 for sector 1, which is a decent time. He's got a clear track ahead of him right now, so should be able to get through the remainder of the lap without any drivers holding him up. It looks like one of the Ferraris has gone round. And it's Kermit. So we'll go back to Hick. He's into sector 2, 1 minute 4.4 by this stage of the lap. And Fudge has crashed out, unfortunately, which is a huge shame. Yeah, he's crashed out of the Anderson Bridge, so that is his session over prematurely. Pushed too hard there. Hick coming through for Williams. and it's a 137.5. So we'll wait to see how the others get on. We've got one of the Red Bulls going through. That will be Aaron. He goes even quicker, 137.2. And we've got a Mercedes of... Is it a Mercedes? It's Jammer in there, who's gone third fastest. Not so Primetime Raz has crashed out on the exit of turn 14, or is it the exit of turn 3 actually? Either way, he's not going to be setting a lap time. He's very much damaged the front end of that Ferrari. Jace has gone to provisional pole with a 136.9. Who else is next to cross the line? Rishi coming through for Aston Martin. It's a 137.8 for him. Chromad is coming through turn 18 and 19. And he's got 22 and 23 to get through here now. And post his first up is a 139.2, which is not a very quick one, to be quite honest with you. Suggested in the McLaren he could do with a good result here. He's yet to score a point this season so far. He's on the 138.9. Vintage has exceeded track limits on his lap. Smith is on a flying lap in the Mercedes. So Sefi. Looking to go close to the top here. He was a podium finisher last time out in Sochi. Oh no, he wasn't. He fell down to 12th place thanks to the penalties. So that cost him a podium finish, but he's into second place for now here with 137.1. Smith in the Mercedes. There's another race without points for him, unfortunately, in Sochi. 1 minute 40.0 on the medium, so Smith will need to go a lot quicker than that if he was to get higher up. Chromad going through in the Aston Martin, hoping for a better time than what he had set beforehand. It's a 138.4. He found a lot of time in the last sector, actually, so that puts him up to P9. And Vintage has exceeded track limits on his lap, so I think he's going to be coming back into the pits again in this one, unless he decides to go for another lap. I think he'll probably go in the pits, to be honest with you, because he is low on fuel. Rishi has exceeded track limits on his latest lap. So we just look to see who is going to be starting a flying lap. I'm just trying to see. Well, Aaron's just gone back out on track again, so he's not on the lap at the moment. I think it's going to be King, actually, because he's not yet posted a fast lap. He's about to start one now. So let's see how he gets on here. Squan is behind him as well. Squan, who just missed out on the victory last week, or 2 weeks ago, in Russia. His second place has moved him up the order to 12th on 18 points. So he actually scored his first points of the season with that second position. King at the moment just wants to get a very good qualifying session in the bag here. He's been involved in too many crashes in qualifying, to be honest with you, this season. It's 1 minute 5.6 by sector 2. I think King's going to be on for a low 1 minute 38, to be honest with you. King coming through now. It's actually going to be a 1:39, 1 minute 39.5. Squan next goes up to 8 for 1:37.9. So a good, decent first lap for him. Who else is out there on a lap? Well, Lost Faith most certainly is. There is Kermit. He's looking to continue on his way. So Kermit will get his first time on the board ahead of Lost Faith. That's a 1:40.2. Lost Faith over the line, and he goes 9 for 1:38.0. So Aaron making his way back into the pits. He was slow on that fast lap. There's Hick, who's a 10th up from before by sector 1. And John has retired from the session. He's retired on circuit, actually, instead of just going back into the pits and retire. So I wonder if the stewards may have a word with him after that. Quarter of a second up by sector 2 for Hick. This could put him ahead of Aaron with this lap. Maybe Sethi can find more time in the last sector. And looks like, yeah, that's John who's gone off. I think, yeah, that was him crashing there. So I must have been watching his teammate gain out of the way of others. So John's session has ended, meaning that he'll start no higher than 7th on the grid. And Vintage has crashed out as well. So Vintage is not going to set a lap time. Hick goes up to P2 though. In the Williams, that's a very, very good lap there from Hick. There's Kermit on another fly. Lost too much time there riding over the curves at the last turn. He goes up to 15th for 1:39.1. So it adds up in the McLaren, 1 minute 3.9. And that's on the mediums as well, so adds up is very much on course for a good lap. And he's going through this last chicane of the lap. And then the double left-hander of 22 and 23. And it's a 1:36.8. And he goes to pole position on the medium compound. And that's a very, very, very good lap time from Adds Up. He could have been in the running for the victory as well last week. Could Adds Up. And not being for his shenanigans. He set the fastest up at the race as well. So Rishi's on a flying lap at the moment. Who else is on a flying lap? Well, Chromad's going through sector 2 now. And he's 7/10 up from before. Is Smith on a flying lap? He is. So Smith on the soft compound. Coming towards the end of the lap now. Nicely done through 20 and 21. Through 22 and 23. And it's a 1:38.1, goes 11th with that one. We'll go back to Chromad because he's coming through to complete his latest lap. He lost time in the last sector though, and in goes 14th. Rishi's exceeded track limits, so he won't be improving. So I think Seth is the next one. complete a flying lap. Less than 4 minutes to go now. And Kilmore is out of the session as well, so he's not going to be improving on his lap time. Sefi currently in 4th place, looking to improve. Sefi over the line now, keeps the car within the limits. He goes to pole position with that one. So by less than a tenth of a second, Sefi is able to displace Adzarp. And so the Haas driver goes to provisional pole position. Jammer is coming through in the Mercedes, 8 tenths up from before from Sector 2, or at Sector 2. There's Chromad, who is on his last dregs of fuel at the moment. Smith is looking to get through. Chromad won't be improving on this time, so Jammer is coming through then. Jammer in the Mercedes is coming through over the line, and it's going to be a 1:37.8, and it's good enough for 7th fastest. There is Squan, and it's nearly half a second up from before by Sector 2. And it's a 1:37.1 for Squan, and he goes 5th. There's a 10th up by Sector 1 for Jace. And Squan's going to go for another time lap here, so we'll see how he gets on. He's a 10th down from before by Sector 1. Pick is 4th fastest at the moment for Williams. Just want to see how Jace gets on. Well, Sefi and Adzarp are in the pits, so they're not going to be going back out on circuit again, with there being only a minute and a quarter remaining. Jace half a second up by Sector 2. This is looking very good to put him on provisional pole here. He's got traffic coming up though, so that may hinder him a little bit. You can see one of the AlphaTauris, that's Lost Faith, remaining out of the way. Jace should be okay now between here and the line. He's coming through now. Jace over the line, and it's pole position for Jace. 7 tenths up from before, 6 tenths faster than Sefi. How is Hick getting on? Hick is at Sector 2 now. I don't think he's actually gaining any time, to be honest with you. Remaining in 4th position. Swan is not on the lap. Aaron is on the fine lap, but is down. Fletch, a 10th up by Sector 1 with what he is producing. And Adzarp is retired from the session. No need to worry about that. King is also out on circuit. It's Adjuster then, who has been struggling for pace in the races, to be honest with you. He's aiming for a good lap here. 1:38.9 was what he set last time. It's a 1:38.1 here. He goes 12th with that, so it's a decent effort from him. Rishi in the Aston Martin, nearly a 10th up from before by Sector 2. This could be good enough to displace the Mercedes of Jammer. Let's see how he gets on in the remainder of this lap. Over the curbs, over the line, and he improves to 6th. So he found about half a second in the final sector alone. So it's a decent time. Fletch in the Red Bull. He needs a good qualifying here. He goes up to the front row. Very nicely done there from Fletch. He goes up to P2. And I think that is that. Although Lost Faith is on a flying lap in the AlphaTauri. He's not going to be on pole, but he can most certainly get into the top 10 here. He improves, but no change of position, so he will start 11th, but at least he can start the race on whatever tyres he likes. Jace is back in the pits now, and that completes qualifying with Jace on pole position by nearly half a second over the man who is currently second in the championship, Fletch, in P2. Seffi in the Haas in P3, ahead of Adsup in P4 in the McLaren. He will also start the race on the mediums as well, so Adsup may have a good chance actually going for the race victory. So we're just waiting for qualifying to take us to the classification, and we'll run down on who is lining up where. So at the end of that, Jace is on pole position with Fletch alongside Seffi and Adsup on the second row. Then it's Hick and Swan on row 3 with Rishi and Aaron on the fourth row. Jammer and John are on row 5 and completing the top 10. Lost Faith and Suggested are on row 6. Smith and Kilmore on row 7 ahead of King and Cromad. Kermit and Fudge make up the 9th row with Raz and Vintage not saying lap times. And so they will be starting on the back row. That was qualifying. We'll go on to the race. We'll be back very, very shortly. So whilst we're waiting for the formation out to begin here in Singapore, just want to mention the championship standings because Vengeance, who's not around tonight, he has an 83-point lead over Fletch. And then it's Kilmore, who's another 15 points adrift, and Aaron in 4th, another 9. You have to say, with 6 races to go, including this one, this is very much Vengeance's championship in the bag, it has to be said. It's just a matter of who will finish runner-up. And looking at the calendar for the remainder of this season, next week we'll go to either Japan or China. Round 13 takes us to Mexico City for a week off, and then we'll end with Brazil in round 14. Round 15 is expected to be either Australia, Saudi Arabia or Azerbaijan. And then the final round will be in Abu Dhabi on Thursday, the 9th of December. Well, the formation lap is underway. And looking at the tyre compounds, you can see that Jace, Fletch, Seffi, Hick, Swan, Rishi, Aaron, Gemma and John are all on the softs, as are Cromad and Fudge. All the others are on the mediums, including Adzok, who's the highest of those, in 4th position. Well, Jace finished on the podium last week, in his maiden appearance. He is in as a substitute tonight in place of Luke Rochford. Now, the highest of the reserve drivers this season has been Quinton. He's on 56 points, and it's the PFR driver on 55. Bosco on 31, and Soto Barcelona, who won in Spa, is on 26, and then Jace on 15 in 5th. It's going to be an interesting race, this one. Hopefully we'll get the race done without a safety car. There's a great chance we will need the safety car. So Jace heading through. Coming towards the last couple of turns. And he'll wait patiently on the grid. I can say that Vintage is not even through turn 15 yet. Well, he has just gone through now. That tells you how long the track is here at Marina Bay. So more of the cars returning to the grid there. There is the Mercedes of Smith, and then there's the Alpine of Kilmore. Watch out for him at the start. We expect him to make his way through the field. And so all 20 cars are back on the grid then for round 11 of the division sprints in the PAFR. Can Jace convert pole position into the victory, or can Fletch do something about it and get his championship charge back on track? Here we go then. The 5 red lights will come on very shortly for the drivers. When they go out, we'll be racing on the streets of Singapore. Here we go then. It's lights out, and away we go. Jace gets off the line, as does likewise. Will they go side by side into turn 1? No, Jace stays in the lead there with Fletch slotted into second place. He runs wide. Adds up, gets in front of Hick though. He goes up into third place on the medium compound. It may even become second when they go out of turn 3. But it's Fletch who keeps on with the second position. Into at the back, Rishi's out of the race, and the Aston Martin is carnage. Debris blown everywhere all over the racetrack, and we've got a virtual safety car already. So Rishi, the first casualty of this race after only 3 turns. And so Jace's lead, well, I say it's been built up. Well, it's been come to a halt as Fudge gets a time penalty for, well, he gets a time penalty for a collision, as does Smith as well. And Hick is out of the race as well. So Hick has crashed at turn 8, and his race is over. That's a big, big shame for him. And Fudge has hit the back of Smith again, so that could be another penalty for him, unfortunately. And so we've got a safety car that's been deployed now. Plenty of penalties being dished out. Smith is on 15 seconds worth. Fudge and Suggested have got 10, and Raz has got 5. Now I wonder what those on the soft compound will do. I think those on the soft compound will want to be pitted in now, so they don't have to pit in again later on. But the question is, do they go onto the mediums or the hards? And it wouldn't be at all surprised if many of the others decided to do the same, if I'm honest with you. And Squan falling down the order as well. Jace has decided to stay out though. Fletch comes in. And there's Squan without a front wing there. I don't know if he got caught up in the first lap mayhem. Oh, and Fudge just tries to get through there on the Mercedes. And Smith is out of the race as well then. So he's crashed and damaged the car. So Smith's race has also come to an end. So that's the 3rd driver out of the race already. As Chromo comes in for a new front wing. So the pit lane's very, very busy at the moment. There's Raz in 17th position. So there's Fudge, who still has 5 seconds of time penalty to serve. He may do that at his next pit stop. So 3 drivers out of the race then, Smith, Hick and Rishi. So Jace leads behind the safety car with Sefi second, adds up third, Lost Bay fourth. And it's Kermit, Suggested, King, Vintage, Fletch and Jammer. Fletch is the highest of those who have pitted. I wonder what Jace may decide to do here, because he's pretty much committed himself to go longer. So Jace continuing to lead behind the safety car. And then Sefi in second. Ends up keeping his McLaren out of trouble. I'll be interested to see what happened to Hick actually. Whether he got a tag from behind by someone. Whether he just went off on his own. The field is back together now, so the safety car should go in at the end of this lap. I wonder what Jace is thinking at the moment. So the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap with Jace in the lead with Sefi second. I think it's going to be very difficult for them to hold on to the leads, considering that Adds Up and Lost Faith are on better tyres now. So 2 laps behind the safety car. It wouldn't be at all surprised if we do get the safety car again before this race is over. And Lost Faith has now received a time penalty for hitting the back of Adds Up, so that'll be 5 seconds added for when he comes in for his pit stop. And Sefi's gone through ahead, so I'm not sure if that's particularly allowed, if I'm honest with you. But somehow Sefi was allowed to keep that position, but he's not supposed to keep that position. He needs to give the position back. Is he going to get the position back? No, he's not. So Jace won't be at all pleased with that one. So Sefi leads. As we've got a few drivers in the pits, both Ferraris in the pits for new front wings. So that's their races compromised there, unfortunately. Chromad also in for a new nose cone. You can see him move there. Oh, Suggested into the barrier there. Comes to go with King. King's race is over, unfortunately. Suggested keeps going, though. There's a bit of debris being kicked up in the air. And will we need another safety car with King crashing out there. It's another race without points for him. And now we watch Fletch dive into the inside there of Vintage to put his Red Bull up into 5th place. So Fletch making positions left, right and centre during the course of this restart. And now he's behind the other AlphaTauri of Vintage. And you see the other one, Lost Faith, going wide there. And that's allowed Gemma and possibly Aaron getting past. Aaron diving to the inside. He can't quite get through there. Suggested struggling to get round to the pits actually. And I think Lost Faith must have front wing damage. Yes, he has on the left hand side. So Lost Faith losing a lot of ground. You can see he's horribly understeering. Nearly touching the wall there. But Sefi in the race lead, unbelievably. I'm surprised he hasn't been penalised for overtaking before the start-finish line. We'll leave that for the stewards to have a look afterwards. And suggested still struggling to get his way into the pit lane as Lost Faith comes in. So there's no DRS for the first 2 laps of the restart, so Jace is going to have to make do without it for the time being. And Fletch gets past Vintage for 4th place now, so Fletch very much on the charge. Remember, he's already pitted now, which means he can go to the end of the race on the set that he's on, and that's Kermit off the racetrack, and he's damaged his front wing, so that's a really poor mistake there, unfortunately. Suggested into the pits. And Lost Faith rejoins in 12th ahead of Chromad. And it looks like Kermit has crashed out, unfortunately. Is he retired on track, or is he actually crashed? I think he's crashed, to be honest with you. And that has brought out yet another safety car. So the field will come together once again. And surely this must be the time for Sefi and Jace, and probably Adds Up as well, to come in. You can see Kermit's car being removed. We are down to 15 runners already in this race. And so the top 3 do decide to pit in. Fletch doesn't need to pit in again, so he remains out there. Vintage and Gemma go through. Aaron through as well. Adds Up gets a penalty there for speeding in the pit lane, unfortunately. And Vintage likewise, so the driver's struggling to slow down to the pit lane speed limit. And Swan almost trying to get past the Red Bull there. Thought better of that. There's John in 5th. And so Sefi rejoins in 6th place now. And Fudge into the pits. He was able to serve more of his time penalty. I think he's still got 5 seconds to serve though. So Fudge rejoins in 11th position. So your top 10 at the moment now are Fletch and Aaron, who lead a Red Bull 1-2. Swan in 3rd place in the house, ahead of Kilmore and John. They've all pitted now. In fact, everyone who's left in the race have all pitted. And Sefi in 6th place, Jay 7th, Adds Up 8th, Vintage 9th, and Gemma in 10th. And the safety car will remain out there for another lap, I would reckon. So Fletch exiting turn 17. Looks like some drivers just going down the pit straight there. Almost look like they've just been in the pits, but they've not been in the pits. What suggested we'll do here, as looks like Seffi's got in front of Swan now as well. Well, he did try and get him, but he's ahead of Kilmore, which he's not supposed to be. And Seffi here really is taking the mickey here. He really is taking the mickey. Jace has been penalised for a collision with John, and I have to say, Seffi has been cheating during this race. I do hate to say that, but if you remember at the end of the first safety car restart, he overtook the race leader before the line, the finish line that is. And you're supposed to wait until the finish line to start overtaking. And Seffi's just overtook 3 cars there under the second safety car when he knows he should not have been by them anyway. So I think there's going to be a penalty coming Seffi's way after this race. So Fletch needs his seamer. Oh! Is that Aaron going into the wall? It is. And that's allowed Seffi through as well. I don't know how Aaron managed to do that, to be honest with you. And that allows Seffi through into second place before this safety car restarts on the way. Did the two come together, or did Aaron lose it all by himself? Not 100% sure. We'll find out afterwards anyway. I think Aaron's back through into second place now, and wisely so. Fletch hasn't let the safety car pull off yet, though. He does let him do that now, and Aaron's being penalised for yellow flag now, so that's interesting. Well, Aaron's going through, and the race is back on the way with Fletch leading. There's Seth behind him, who's just gone through ahead of the Red Bull, and so Seth leads the Singapore Grand Prix. As Vintage, there's a coming together there, and the Mercedes. So Jace and Gemma have gone round. So another contender for the race the race win's gone spinning round and down the order. And now we're watching Kilmore and Swan fight over the final podium position. And we can see Adds Up and contact. Adds Up's front wing's gone. So Adds Up's front wing's gone after contact with John. There's debris everywhere at the moment, and you can see Raz making his way through, thinking about a move on the AlphaTauri, but took care of it and just slotted back in. And Lost Face looking to get a move done here. And so Raz in 9th position, looking to make a pass here. And Fudge with a track limits penalty now. That's the first one of the race that anyone has received. But there's Seffi in the lead with Fletch in second place. And a new fastest lap for the race leader. John next to receive a track limits penalty. He's into the pits as well, and that could be for a front wing replacement. It's been quite a chaotic restart here, but Seffi is able to retain his lead. What will Lost Faith do here behind Vintage? To make contact there. Vintage runs wide, that allows Raz through, but John's out of the race. He's retired in the pits, I think, as is Aaron, and Adds Up looks like he's in as well for a front wing replacement. So 2 more drivers gone from this race now. We're down to 13 runners. Now he's suggested in 10th position. Hoping to score his first point of the season. And Fletcher's fallen more than 3 seconds behind Seffi as the Haas driver looks to continue out front. And Seffi with a new fast stop, and Swan has got past Fletch, who's into the pits. Now I'm not sure what this is for. He's being penalised for speeding in the pit lane. Oh, and that's lost faith. He's lost it on the exit. And Fletcher's retired in the pits as well, so Fletch is also out of the race. Not sure why he's done that. So both Red Bulls, who were 1 and 2 on the restart, or at one point anyway, are out of this race now. So Fletch ruins another chance of getting himself back into the championship running here. Kilmore is up in 3rd place at the moment. He's the highest of the championship contenders. And there's Raz in a fine 5th place behind Fudge. So Jace in 10th place behind Jammer. So Raz trying to get a move done here. Oh, someone's in the wall. That's suggested. Now, with all that debris lying there, that is right on the racing line of that could easily cause a puncture. Vintage is in the pits. And suggested will be shortly as well. The Seffi now leads, and it's a Haas 1-2. Swan in 2nd place, Kilmore 3rd. And Jace is out after crushing or retiring on circuit. Not really supposed to be doing that, unfortunately. So Jace decides he's had enough. So we've lost another driver from this race. So we are down to just 10 runners then, because Adsoff is also out of the race. He's stopped in the pits. And so Seffi continues to lead out in front. So Seffi 4 laps away from victory now. Suggested will be making his way back to the pits for a new nose cone. I mean, if he could just keep going, he'll be able to get his first point of the season now, considering that there's only 10 drivers left, and someone's gone off. It's Fudge, who was in 4th place, and Fudge is the next driver to fall foul of the unforgiving walls here in Singapore. Suggested comes in for a new nose cone, and Raz has got in front of Kilmore now for 3rd place, so Raz on course for a podium now. Kilmore just simply did not have anything to defend there. Suggested exits the pits. He should rejoin in 9th place. And you can see Jammer behind Cromad in the battle over 5th place. Suggested does rejoin ahead of Lost Faith. So Smithy, or Seffi I should say, coming round. There is Suggested and Lost Faith biting over 9th position. Now that we're into the last 3 laps, we won't get another safety car. Now, does Fudge get the car slowed down in time? He does so. And Swan in P2 there. Raz 3rd, Kilmore 4th, Chromad and Gemma in 5th and 6th. And there's Chroma running wide there. Contact between the Aston Martin and the Mercedes. Gemma gets through. And Chromad is down to 6th place now. There is Fudge. Is he going to rejoin ahead of Suggested? I think he is, but only just. The only problem for Fudge is he's got that 3-second time penalty for track limits, which will drop him behind both Suggested and Lost Faith, so he needs to do some quick fire laps here. Now on the penultimate lap of this one, Seffi continuing to lead. The closest back on track is between, well, either Gemma and Chromad or Fudge and Suggested, but I think Fudge is starting to pull away now. And the driver of the fastest up of the race is Seffi. And Chromad with DRS is into the slipstream. Can he get back through here on Gemma? He goes to the outside. The two don't make contact. Gemma's still there though. He'll carry her round the outside and he maintains the position. So nice clean racing between those two. And Raz is right on the tail of Squan for 2nd position. Got a really poor exit. Poor line and poor exit coming out of turn 13. So he remains behind the Haas for now. And Chromad now with a time penalty, so that ruins his chances of finishing ahead of Gemma. He's more than 30 seconds clear of 7th place Vintage. We're now on the last lap of the race. Seffi on his way to victory. Let's look to see what happens between Squan and Raz. So Raz will pull alongside the Haas driver here. And this is him going through into 2nd place now. And Raz, from the back of the field at the start, is on course to finish in 2nd place. This has been by far his best race of the season for sure. Really, really good job from him today. And there's Seffi. You can sense the checker flag is waiting for him now. Maybe under investigation later for overtaking under the safety car, but we'll leave that for the stewards to look at. In the meantime, Seffi is going to come round to complete the last lap of this race, and he is going to take victory. Seffi now has just 2 more corners to get through. The double left-hander it is. Seffi wins the division sprint race here. He wins the Singapore Grand Prix. Excellent performance from Seffi. Raz will come home in P2 for Ferrari after a splendid drive with Squan third. Kilmore has got Jammer all over the back of him, so Kilmore very much struggling. They should just hang on to 4th place here. So Kilmore 4th, Jammer 5th, Chromad 6th, and Vintage will come home in 7th position. Just looking at Fudge, because he's nearly made up that 3-second margin at the moment. So Vintage comes home in 7th place, and this is Fudge, who's more than 3 seconds in front of Suggested now, so he will keep hold of his 8th place. So Fudge 8th, Suggested 9th, and Lost Faith, who's some way behind actually. He's made a mistake somewhere, but it's continued. He will take the last point in 10th position. But it's victory for Seffi here in Singapore. And so the classification here is as follows. Seffi wins with Prime Time Raz in 2nd place, Squan 3rd, ahead of Kilmore in 4th, Jammer 5th, Chromad 6th, Vintage 7th, Fudge 8th, Suggested 9th, and Lost Faith in 10th. And the retirements we have Jace, Adds Up, Fletch, John, Aaron, Kermit, King, Smith, Hick, and Rishi. And from what I've been told by the person who hosts the lobby, that there's been a big desync and that this race could end up being null and voided. So I'll find out more on that. We'll be doing some interviews shortly if we are. But either way, Seffi comes out on top and gets the point for the fast lap. So very well done to him on that performance. Right, I'm getting confirmation from the host of the lobby that tonight's event will not count, unfortunately, which is a big shame. But it's been postponed to the next rest week for the PFR, which is in 3 weeks' time. So whatever you've seen today has counted for nothing, which is a big shame, especially for Seffi, who's won tonight, and Raz finishing second. So tonight's race in Singapore will not count. It will be moved to 3 weeks' time, as there was a big desync which compromised the race itself. But we'll be back next week for the Japanese or Chinese rounds. It's round, well, I think it's going to be round 11 this time. It would be round 12, but it's been it's going to be postponed. Is the Singapore one, so it will be round 12 of the championship in either Japan or China in a week's time. So thank you very much for joining us. We do apologise that tonight's race happened to be more of a fun one for the drivers rather than counting for points, but hopefully we won't get a repeat of this next week. I'm Tom Cairns, and I'll speak to you again soon when the PAFR returns.